His MO is developing players and getting the most out of them. And I still do have a lot of confidence and faith that he'll be able to do that. It's just not going to be the flip the switch, change things overnight job that people anticipated because he came to Chapel Hill with 6 Super Bowl rings. It's not that easy. It may take 2 or 3 years for him to get the program to where he wants it to be. So they're going to have to be patient.
Desmond Howard here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about Arch Manning. Your opinion of his start at the shoe is what?
It was predictable. I went on Stephen A. Smith's show the Friday before the Ohio State game, and I went on First Take, and I was telling them that I thought that the all of the hype and Heisman talk around him was unwarranted. I said that unless he was a guy who was on stage last year at the Heisman ceremony as a legitimate finalist, he doesn't warrant having his name mentioned in the same breath as that trophy. If you think he's, somewhat a quarterback who's going to have a successful career, or a successful season, why don't you start talking about the Davy O'Brien Award or the Johnny Unitas Award, whatever those quarterback awards, but not the best football player in the country. And I also said that he was a guy who he didn't jump out at me on tape. I mean, he had moments, and they're going to show those big moments on SportsCenter. But if you really watch the tape, there was nothing consistent that made you think he was the best football player in college football. And now he goes to Columbus, right, Rich? This is the beautiful part about all of this. People don't want to really criticize him as harshly because he is a Manning. And they want to stay in good favor with the Mannings, right? This is a big name in our sport. But so what they do is they make it seem like Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, just called this brilliant game that kept Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning off balance for 4 whole quarters. Now, Matt Patricia did call a very good game. There's no doubt about that. But I saw guys on SportsCenter and other shows pulling like 3 plays and showing how he may have confused Arch Manning with a look or a secondary switch at the last minute. And I'm watching the film, and I can show you 10 to 12 plays where guys were running wide open, and he either just didn't hit them with the ball or he didn't see these guys, and it wasn't that complex or that complicated. So he struggled the way I thought he would struggle because, even though he's been in the system for 3 years, you look at him, he's never really played in these meaningful games. So the hype was just blown way out of proportion for Arch Manning.
Man, what an opinion right there, Desmond. So what do you see for Arch going forward? An upward progression, starts to win some games. There's a big game against Florida, Georgia coming. Like that's go to the college football playoffs. And is that what you see here moving forward? Maybe not at the podium in Manhattan.
Rich, we know one thing. Okay, we know one thing. Me and you, we know one thing. In order to go in Columbus and beat Ohio State, first and foremost, you have to be tough. That's what it takes to beat Ohio State. You're going to have to be tough. When they got the ball inside in the red zone, inside the 5-yard line, and they couldn't punch it in, and I can't put that on Arch. That showed me that at that point, they're not tough enough to go on the road and beat a team the quality of Ohio State. Now, moving forward, you said what's going to happen. Any analyst who talks about Arch Manning, they always wraps it up with, but he's going to be fine. He's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But in this sport, with that name, being fine just doesn't cut it. Being okay just doesn't cut it. That's not what they're known for. That's not what he's at Texas for, to be fine, to be okay. So I do think, obviously, like all these other teams, it's their first game. Will they get better as a team? Of course they will. They should. But you knew you were playing Ohio State the first game of the season. Ohio State knocked you out of college football playoff a year ago. You would think that you would be better or more prepared for this game than any game going to the season simply because of those factors. So it was kind of disappointing, really, to see such a lackluster performance from them. And I think that what you'll see now, Rich, is that they'll go up against inferior opponents who don't have the roster that they have. And Archer put up some numbers. He'll have some nice throws. He'll have some incredible runs. And then people will be, saying how great he is again. But they may struggle in the SEC going up against some of these tough teams if he doesn't get it together soon.
Desmond Howard, Heisman Trophy winner, Super Bowl MVP, College Game Day, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Most impressive win from last weekend then? Miami, LSU, Ohio State. What do you have? Am I missing anybody?
You missing Florida State, my friend.
Florida State beating Alabama. Okay.
Ooh-wee, yeah. And what made that one so impressive, Rich, is because, hey, we knew that Tommy Castellanos, the quarterback who transferred from Boston College, he came out and said Nick Saban ain't there to save them. I mean, that's just bulletin board material. And then he doubled down and didn't back off of it and said, listen, my coaches, my players, we all believe in each other and we know what we have here. I'm going to tell you what people forgot, Rich, they forgot that, first of all, Mike Norvell, despite what happened a year ago, 2-10, I get it. Mike Norvell is a hell of a coach. He can coach football. And then he brought in Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn, he's a great offensive coordinator. Like, he can call plays with the best of them. And Tommy Castellanos had said that Malzahn is a guy who now just seems like he has like all this weight off of his shoulders and he's out there having fun. He's in his bag. He's enjoying being an offensive play caller. And so that was one of the biggest factors to me in that game Saturday. In that game, Saturday, Sunday. I think they played Sunday. Game Sunday. Yeah, that game Sunday when they beat Alabama, because you saw Gus Malzahn. He was in his bag, and those kids, the defense too, defense flying around. That was a very, very impressive victory.
Yeah, it'll be a shock when people try to put Alabama in over Florida State in a few months. Anyway, we'll see how that we'll see how that works, Des. I got two more for you. I got two more for you. One for me, and then one for the rest of the United States, or one for us. Bryce Underwood, man. Some of those throws that were coming out of his hand. I said I've never seen a quarterback play for Michigan with an arm like that. You played with Elvis, right? Yep. Obviously, Chad Henne had quite the arm. I've never seen anything like this. And the moment for me where I knew this was different was a 3rd and 14. Michigan had coughed up a 17-point lead. It's now just 7, 2+ minutes before half. And they don't just hand it off and say, we'll play defense and hope for the best. They let the kid rip it. And it was a 39-yard game that wound up with a touchdown drive. And I'm like, I turned to my 14-year-old son, who my watching buddy Cooper. I'm like, all right, this is not normal. This is different. And I'm wondering what you think, Desmond.
I agree with you. I had my watch buddies with me, big twin and little twin. We were actually there on the sideline watching the game.
Okay.
And we thought the same exact thing. And I said, wow, it's refreshing to see that they have that type of confidence in that young man in his first collegiate game, that they're not going to just have him turn to his right or turn to his left and hand the ball off. Like, they let him go out there and play football, make some throws, make some big throws too. And so it was nice to see. And I mean, he's very, very talented quarterback, but he's just a guy who I believe has that it factor. His teammates, they all love him. He seemed very poised, and he ran things at a very efficient level. He never came across as though he was flustered out there or anything like that. He seemed like he was kind of like a seasoned vet, which you have to give credit to the coaching staff. Especially the offensive coaching staff, because they consistently put him in a position to succeed, and they made sure that he was comfortable, and they helped to I think, like, make sure his confidence was starting to build as the game progressed. And that's what you want to do with these young quarterbacks. You want to start them off slow, but make sure you're putting in plays that can help build their confidence as the game progresses.
Yeah, I can't go slow, though, Saturday, though. I mean, that's the game of the week. It's on ESPN Saturday night, Michigan at Oklahoma. What's your opinion on that, Des?
Yeah, that one's going to be it's going to be a good one. I'm excited about that to see how this defense responds to Mateer, the quarterback, the transfer from Washington State, who's now in Norman, Oklahoma. Mateer is probably the number one dual threat quarterback in the portal this past offseason. So he brings like a lot to their offense, and obviously Brent Venables, he's a defensive minded coach, so he's really going to try to get in the head of Bryce Underwood and this offense and see how he can affect the offense. I think that Michigan's going to have to be stout in the trenches. They're going to have to be able to move the ball with the running game, and they're going to have to keep those guys off of Bryce Underwood. And so it should be a really interesting game.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let them look right at you.